Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome to another episode of Howdy's Hull Yeah Hangout. We have got some stuff to talk about. This is not news related. This is something I wanted to talk about since the members of the Wyatt Six have been revealed. Obviously, there has been some concern that it's not going to go very well, that these stars aren't necessarily at the top of the card. So I just wanted to kind of wanted to talk about that with you guys. So we'll get into that right after this. See you in a second. All right. Hey, Mark. How you doing? Good to see you. Hey, see, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. Okay. Yeah. So basically, what we're gonna do is this is gonna be a bit more chilled. So put your comments in through this. Like I say, normally I'll do the news first, and then we'll do the comments. Put your comments in through this. The first sort of point, the reason I'm doing this is because I've seen on Twitter people like, oh, Dexter Lumis, Nikki Cross, it's not Alexa Bliss, it's not Braun Strowman, and they're right. Okay, so none of these stars, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, unproven on the main roster, none of them are major stars, right? They're not Braun Strowman, who's not in the faction, not in the Wyatt Six. He's not. None of these people, Nikki Cross isn't quite at the level of Alexa Bliss, who is not in the faction. Nikki Cross, of course, is confirmed, or at least right now, is confirmed to be, in the faction, whereas Alexa Bliss isn't. Alexa Bliss is a main eventer. Nikki Cross, you can argue mid-card. Then the rest of them, right now, you can argue sort of lower mid-card, even Bo Dallas at this point. However, there's a lot of good faith. We've talked about this before. There's a lot of good faith, a lot of belief in this to go well. Okay. And I also want to draw a comparison, as you might have seen in the thumbnail. There's another guy who was never quite main event, but he had a legendary career in wrestling, an iconic career in wrestling, and built stars. And that guy is Raven. Okay, so my first talking point is Bo Dallas doesn't have to be the next Bray Wyatt. He could be the next Raven, right? He's going to have a career rebirth. Okay, which Raven did after Johnny Polo in WWE, became Raven. Bo Dallas is going to become Uncle Howdy, have a career rebirth, and launch new careers. Okay, so you've got Uncle Howdy now, the potential for Uncle Howdy to not only have a career rebirth himself, but also launch the careers of Joe Gacy, relaunch and help relaunch the career of Eric Rowan. Help Nikki Cross get to that next level, which she's only touched upon. Obviously, very brief main event push, a couple of years back. But this is not just about Bo Dallas. This is about the other talents. Joe Gacy has potentially has the world in his hands. He is like the heir apparent to Bray Wyatt. Okay, so you could argue Joe Gacy's a future main eventer. All right, so there's that there. You know what I mean? Joe Gacy could be a future main eventer. Dexter Lumis, I'm a little bit undecided on. Not entirely sure about Dexter at the moment, but he could absolutely be a star. He could absolutely be a star. You've got to remember the reason why I started this is, again, Raven was never at the top level of the card, but he was and is an icon in wrestling. And Bo Dallas has the potential to be that, a cult-like following in wrestling. And we're not, he may never get to the main event in the same way that his brother did. And that's okay. That's all right. It depends what you expect. What do you want? And that's why we're doing this live stream. Because I want you guys to tell me, do you want Bo Dallas in the main event? Do you want Uncle Howdy in the main event? Because I'm not sure I do. I think if he can have a cult career in the same way as a Jake the Snake Roberts, in the same way, arguably at the end, like his brother did. Obviously, his brother had main event championship runs, etc. But I just want him to have a good run. I want him to be in a job for the next 5 to 10 years, telling good stories. And I think we can get that. It doesn't necessarily, Nikki Cross doesn't have to be in the main event of the women's division. Dexter Lumis certainly doesn't have to be in the main event. Joe Gacy, I genuinely think Joe Gacy has an opportunity to be a main event star somewhere down the road. But that's kind of what I want to talk to you guys about today. When you see the Wyatt Six come in, King and Queen of the Ring, thoughts, Lomas, Crossbow, Rowan, Lumis. Could their first rivalry be Bliss? It's Bliss, Cosplay, his match against Orton. I like that idea, yes. I love that idea. I think that's a really good idea. And like I say, eventually we get Alexa Bliss in the faction. I think that would be really, really cool. I'd be well up for that. King and Queen, yeah, Crown Jewel, King and Queen of the Ring. I agree with that. Yeah. So I want to draw some comparisons. So again, I want to talk to you about Raven launching the careers of Tommy Dreamer, of Stevie Richards, of all these talents, that he did. CM Punk, you forget Raven had a huge hand in launching the career of CM Punk. Raven was in factions with the Insane Clown Posse and Vampiro. Now, while none of these people were main event stars, they have a cult following. They still have a cult following. That's what I think we're getting. If I'm being realistic, I think we're getting a cult, a cult faction at the end of the day. It'll be mid-card, potentially, but it will launch big stars. Joe Gacy, I think, has the potential for that. I think Nikki Cross could have, another main event run, because of this faction. Okay. Much like, remember Mickie James. Mickie James's career as Alexis Lurie was launched by Raven. So there is a potential here for Bo Dallas to do the same thing for Joe Gacy, the same thing for Dexter Lumis, the same thing for Nikki Cross, and again, a re-emergence for Eric Rowan, a second birth for Eric Rowan. So there is so much potential here, not necessarily but I don't think the Wyatt Six is going to the top of the card, but I think a comfortable mid-card level feud, a series of mid-card level feuds, could be good. And, 5, 10 plus years in the company, doing something, which I think he's perfectly capable of doing. I'm not putting, and I will not put Bo Dallas and Uncle Howdy in the title picture. I just won't do it. I don't think he will go there. I'm not entirely sure he'll ever go there, but he will be a Jake the Snake Roberts. He has the potential, because he's not there yet. He's not the cult level of a Jake the Snake Roberts or the Raven is Bo Dallas, but he could absolutely be there. A legendary career that is talked about decades from now as one of the greatest minds of the business, much like his brother. That is Bo Dallas's future, according to me. I don't think he's going to have a championship run, but if you think about the people, Dexter Lumis could be a complete sleeper hit in this faction. Dexter Lumis could come out and be a main eventer. I don't know. Like I said, I'm picking Joe Gacy. I'm picking Joe Gacy as the standout here, and Nikki Cross to have a career resurgence and be at the top of the women's card, right? But I don't think we're getting that with Dexter. And I'm not entirely sure we're getting that, as Izzy says. Will Uncle Howdy go to the main event? I'm not entirely sure. I'm not sure. But I think he'll be the same as Jake the Snake. I think he'll have a consistent job for a long, long time. And he doesn't have, obviously, Bo doesn't have the same addiction issues that, at least to my knowledge, that Jake the Snake did. So I think a comfortable upper mid card for Bo Dallas, for Uncle Howdy, and maybe an Intercontinental Championship run down the line would be cool. But I won't put him in the main event. I'm not fantasy booking him there because I'm not entirely sure he'll get there. I'd love to be proven wrong. The same goes for Eric Rowan. I don't think he's a main eventer, but he's an upper mid card guy. Nikki Cross, I think, could have another run in the main event. Joe Gacy, I absolutely think, could have another run in the main event. There were people that will have looked at Alexis Lurie, Mickie James back in the day and gone, no, not a main eventer. But obviously she had multiple runs with the World Women's Championship, and I think that's where we're headed with Nikki Cross. I think she will have another run with the Women's Championship down the line. But I also think, like I said, this is not just about Uncle Howdy. This is about the elevation of guys like Joe Gacy. This is about the elevation or the re-elevation of guys like Eric Rowan, and also the pedestaling of Bo Dallas. Carrying the legacy of his brother. That's a lot of pressure. So I'm not fantasy booking him in the main event at all by any stretch of the imagination, because I don't think it's going to happen for him myself. But that does not mean I don't love this idea. I loved the flock. I loved Raven's flock. I loved that in WCW. You know what I mean? You got to remember as well, Raven helped launch the career of Mick Foley, Cactus Jack. There are so many main eventers that Raven helped to cultivate. Again, CM Punk there in Ring of Honor. I don't see why Bo Dallas can't, if he's not going to be in the main event himself, elevate a Gacy to that level, you know? Hell, maybe even Dexter Lumis, you know? People that are poo-pooing on this idea, you know, none of these people are main event stars. This is not a social outcast. If you remember that faction, this is not a social outcast. You know, where Bo Dallas is just a kind of an also ran, you know, here, and you know, he's just part of this silly little faction that doesn't have anything behind it. This is this is the, you know, the next level of Bo Dallas, the level up of Bo Dallas. You know, they care about this. They care about Bray. They care about the legacy of Bray. And so this is not going to be another social outcast. The very worst thing they could do with this is a Brood situation, you know. But look, I mean, look at all three of those guys. You know, the faction, the Brood didn't necessarily land long term. I mean, it did for me. I thought the theme music was great, and each athlete was great. Gangrel, I loved. The Vampire Warrior, as he became known. You know, the worst case is that it becomes a bit of a gimmick, but then maybe everybody splits off on their own. You know, that we get a Lumis singles push for a bit, and maybe he thrives. But I genuinely think the one proper real star to come out of this could be Gacy. You know, Gacy could be, you know, real good. And I hope the same for Bo. I really do hope the same for Uncle Howdy. But I think, you know, I really do think Gacy will be the, you know, not saying that he's the next CM Punk or the next Mickie James, but he's, you know, he could definitely be there. You know what I mean? He could definitely be in that conversation. So I don't want this to be a, I don't want this to be a, you know, people come back on this and be like, oh, you're poo-pooing the gimmick. You're not a real Wyatt fan. You're not a real Bo fan. I am absolutely am. But I genuinely think that there's the ceiling for Bo is a Jake the Snake level cult, Goldust level, you know, cult following that lasts for decades and decades, and he hasn't done that yet. He's got to do that. He's got to get himself there, and that's what I think this is. I think this is where Bo Dallas becomes a Goldust-like figure, you know, that is legendary in every sense. It becomes a Raven-like figure that is legendary in every sense. I want Uncle Howdy Bo Dallas to be a main eventer. Yeah, I absolutely can understand why you would. I understand why you would, and I want that too. But do I think it's going to happen? I'd love it to, but if I'm being realistic, I think the one main eventer in that group, the potential main eventer, because think about age, you know, well, to be fair, actually, Gacy's in his 30s. I think Gacy's still got a chance. I think actually Gacy and Bo are actually close to the same age. But yeah, there isn't any legacy acts in the Wyatt Sixes revealed. Raven was established by the point of putting them over. We was talking a few weeks ago about main event, but this is now Retribution 2.0. I don't think so, because I think they really have worked on this. They really have worked on the legacy of Bray and paying tribute to that. This has some legs behind it. This is different. Yes, you're right. Raven was established by the point, but this is different. You know, Bo is carrying on Bray's legacy. That is a lift. Okay, it's a weight on his shoulders, but it's also a lift. It's also you know, he's going to be pushed at first. Now he's got to carry that. He's going to hold that, and I think he will. He will hold that for a time. You know, like I say, you know, for a time. But you know, like I say, it could be a Brood. There's nothing wrong with that. Those guys all went on to do great things. You know, I mean, hell, you know, Bo could be a Cactus Jack. You know, he could like Raven did. And Raven at this time was not at the level that he became. You know, this was you know, early 90s. You know, Bo Bo in the Raven place here could then lead a Joe Gacy to the great things, or hell, even Dexter Lumis, you know. So there's so much potential here for that to you know, to become cool. I mean, like I said, you know, Raven helped launch the careers of Mickie James, CM Punk, Perry Saturn, Dreamer, Stevie Richards, and more of these people. None of these people were main eventers at first, and obviously maybe take Saturn out of that, but he should have been a main eventer. Stevie Richards again should have been. You know, Dreamer, you can call him a main eventer, absolutely. You know, Mickie James, absolutely. CM Punk, you know, so I absolutely think that Bo could do that for other people, and also hopefully himself in the same way that Raven did for a time. The worst thing that could happen, like I say, is that Bo elevates himself as a faction leader, and then the members split off into new things and develop, i.e., Punk or James. Bo has a cult favorite career that is likened to that of Raven or a Goldust. Like I said to you before. So I think there's real potential here for Bo Dallas to cement himself as a cult favorite, whether or not he's a main eventer. And I'm not excluding him from that. I'm not saying it's never going to happen. What do I know? I'm a fan, right? But at the very worst, he becomes a Goldust. He becomes a cult favorite. And there's nothing wrong with that in terms of longevity. There's nothing. I mean, look, everybody knows who Raven is. Everybody knows who Dustin Rhodes is. Everybody knows Jake the Snake, etc., etc. Not everyone has to be an Undertaker. Not everyone has to be a Bray Wyatt. And that's what I'm saying here, because everyone is. And it was, part of this was prompted by Anthony's comment, last week. And this is, going back to that, this doesn't have to be. This doesn't have to be anything that, it doesn't have to be a main event thing. It doesn't have to be a main event thing. It might be for a bit. Gacy might be in the main event. Bo might be in the main event. But long term, it doesn't have to be for it to work. Again, look at, your Jake the Snakes. Look at your Goldusts. This can be that, and that's okay. I also want Howdy to be a main eventer, but I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen. That's okay. Mark with the faction that Gacy 36, Bo 33. So there you go. I still stand by my statement. that Gacy can hit that main event before his 40s. Bo, I'm undecided. I want it. It could happen, or whether it's Howdy or Taylor Rotunda. I want that for him. But whether I think it'll happen at this time, I'm not sure. With this faction in the way it is, I'm not sure. We don't have confirmation that Alexa Bliss, who's a bona fide main eventer, is in there. We don't have confirmation that Braun Strowman is ever going to be in there. So they don't have the immediate rub, which makes me look at this as a main event faction. However, if it's still going in 3 years, I'll be happy. If it's still going in 1, I'll be happy. If anything similar, if any of these people, if Gacy, hell, if Dexter Lumis has a mid-card to main event push, I'll be ecstatic for him. The same goes for Nikki Cross. The same goes for Eric Rowan. If any of these people have a main event push, this will have done its job. This will have elevated stars. And that is what we're here to talk about. That is why we're here, and that's why we're doing this stream, is that it can happen. It can happen for these guys. Like I say, at best, Bo becomes a main event star or something akin to Jake the Snake Roberts or Goldust, both Hall of Famers. Do I think Bo has the potential to be a Hall of Famer because of this gimmick? Absolutely. Does he ever have to touch the World Championship? Absolutely not. Which was the conversation many people had about Bray. Should he have even gone for the title? Did it ruin the gimmick? I absolutely think there's a similar argument here, unless Uncle Howdy turns back into Taylor Rotunda, which could be a thing. And even then, we only have, unfortunately, and this is the reality of it, we only have the social outcasts to go on in terms of Bo being in a faction and also the B team, and Curtis Axel was in both. We only have this, right? This was Bo's previous run in a faction. There he is on the left, smiling politely, And there's Adam Rose. Where's Adam Rose? In fact, all of these guys, except for Bo, are not employed by WWE. 2 of them, actually, no, Curtis Axel's back behind the scenes. Heath was in Impact for a bit, TNA. Adam Rose I think he's fully retired. So at best, Bo uses this, becomes a main event star, or something akin. And there's that all, because that's where I am. I'm sitting in the awe. I'm sitting in that I want him to be a Goldust. I want him to be a Jake the Snake, because that's what I think he is capable of. That is what I think his ceiling is right now. I do not think he will have a World Championship run, and I'm not entirely sure he will be in the main event. Gacy, meanwhile, I think this could elevate him in the same way that Bray elevated Strowman. And I know there's an age difference. I know Gacy's 3 years older than Bo, but I still stand by that statement. Dexter, mid-card. I think that's realistic for him. Hell, give him an Intercontinental. I mean, Harper won an Intercontinental Championship. If Luke Harper in that character, obviously became a main eventer in AEW. If Luke Harper can be an Intercontinental Champion, then so can Dexter Lumis. That, I think, is his ceiling, you know? Same with Rowan. I think he always deserved better, but this is on his second go. You know, I think he's a mid-carder. Nikki Cross is the other one I think could go back into the main event for a time. Whether she wins or not is the other thing, you know. That's whether she wins or not is the other thing, but that doesn't matter. As long as she's got TV time. This is it. We're talking about TV time. How much TV time did Goldust get in the 90s? How much TV time when he was around and when he was well did Jake the Snake get? That's the thing. It's the longevity. And this is a shot for Bo Dallas, for Uncle Howdy to have longevity in the company. And that is what I want for him. And that is what I believe we can get if we don't spoil it by immediately shooting for the moon and putting him in the main event, because that is where I believe right now Gacy and Nikki Cross will get to. But if Bo surprises me and Bo ends up there, that I'm down with. That I am absolutely down with. But I'm being realistic. And it's important to be realistic. But I don't agree with, oh, this is just a bunch of jobbers, which I've seen on Twitter and X. Oh, this isn't going to work. It can do with the right creative. I mean, we've had they've had a number of months to prep for this, right? They've had a number of months to prep for this, and it could be really special. They've really worked hard on it. And I think we will see something special. How long it lasts, we don't know. Do I think, and this is, I guess, the crucial question, do I think that everybody here will come out of this better for it? Yes. I can't say that for the Social Outcasts, but I can say that because of the effort they've put in, because of the time and energy they've put in, I believe everybody will come out of this when it eventually ends better for it. Bo included, Gacy included, Dexter Lumis included, Nikki Cross included. Hell, if Braun Strowman decides to join, fantastic, but all the better for it. It becomes a main event thing for a bit. Alexa Bliss, same thing, but we're not working with that knowledge. We're assuming at the moment that they are not involved. Strowman's not involved. Alexa Bliss is involved, okay? But we can absolutely get a main event push for Gacy, I believe. A mid-card push for Dexter Lumis. A main event push for Nikki Cross. A mid-card push for Eric Rowan is where I think we're at, you know? And crucially, an upper mid-card push for Bo. And that's what I think is going to happen. And like I say, he doesn't need to be the next Bray. He could be the next Raven, and it would be fine. It would be cool. He would have a cult following for decades. He would have years of work, potentially with the company beyond his TV run, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know. And like I say, if it becomes, it's like, you know, it's one of those things, right? If he becomes another dark gimmick like Gangrel or Raven in WWE, you know, like the Brood, that was my initial point, my last point. You know, all these people have done all right for themselves, and I think this has been managed well. You know, this has been cultivated well. The teasers have been great. The teasers have been a lot of fun to watch. Okay, so they clearly care about it. The worst thing that could, you know, again, the worst thing is, you know, it becomes a silly gimmick, right? You know, in the same way that the Brood became, but then they split off. And you know, maybe become main eventers. You know, everybody is okay. Everybody's going to be okay in this. Bo included in that. You know, Bo could end up the best of all because he was the leader. You know, I mean, obviously Gangrel maybe isn't the best comparison, but we're talking about the flock, and Raven ended up doing just fine. You know, and he burned some bridges with Vince and other people that you know, people could tell me, oh yeah, well, this WWE thing wasn't great. No, it wasn't, but he will tell you himself. He he told me in an interview that I did for Soundsphere, cheap plug, that he burned his bridges with Vince, you know, and that was a thing. You know, so he could have had a main event run. He could have had a backstage run. You know, he was offered all these things, but he was frustrated. And Bo is in a situation where he could shoot for the moon, man. He could do all these things and become, a cult favorite in the same way that Cactus Jack became. You know, I mean, I've put some other members on that thumbnail. Tommy Dreamer, Billy Kidman, all benefited from Raven. You know. And like I said, I come back to this, you know, at best, Bo becomes a main event star, or that cult, it gains that cult following. At the very worst, Bo elevates himself as a faction leader, and the members split off to new things and develop, like a Punk or a James, which is what Raven did for them. And I think that could be possible for Lumis. I think that could, well, particularly Nikki Cross and particularly Joe Gacy is where I'm at with that. But you got to, that's where I'm at with this. I find it difficult to the internet community, the wrestling community. I get it. I appreciate some of you watch this. Much appreciated. Thank you. But don't count your chickens before it's hatched. Don't think that they're just going to be jobbed out. All right. Let's be realistic. If we get main event Bo Dallas, awesome. If we get main event Uncle Howdy, great. Main event Dexter Lumis, awesome. But like, again, they care about it. WWE care about it. Triple H cares about it. So there's going to be something special here. They're going to give a monkeys, right? So it's already got legs, that could take it beyond the brood, which is the comparison I make, beyond the flock, Ravens flock, So I think we're going to be okay. Like I said, I don't think we should, again, in the words of Cameron Grimes, I don't think we should shoot to the moon just yet and assume that we're going to get main event. This is going to be a main event Wyatt 6 faction. It's going to be perfect, because it won't be. There'll be bumps in the road. So let's be realistic. Can Gacy get into the main event? Yes. Can Lumis? No, I don't think so. But he can be an upper mid carder in the same way Luke Harper was. Can Eric Rowan? Not sure. Upper mid carder? Definitely. Which isn't a bad place to be if you're consistently on television and you're consistently making the company money. And I believe the merch sales will be good. I mean, if they did do anything close to what Bray did with the style of merchandise, and, Jason Baker's involved in this, right? He was on the documentary talking to Bo, right? So they can make money. And that's what it crucially is. I'll finish up my point. Do I think Nikki Cross can be in the main event? Yes, I do. I absolutely believe Nikki Cross will be back in the main event as a result of this. And again, I draw a direct comparison to Mickie James with Raven. With Gacy, like I say, you can draw a direct comparison to Bray. Maybe he goes into the main event because of this. It's exciting. I'm excited. I'm very excited about the possibility here for these people, these individuals in this faction. And I don't think people should be saying that they're going to be jobbed out. They're just jobbers. There's no main event. There's no main eventers here, because it doesn't have to be. Like I say, the flock weren't main eventers at first. But a few of them became. You know what I mean? And again, Raven launched those careers. Your Billy Kidmans, your Tommy Dreamers, they went on to have, legendary careers in their own right. There's Canyon and Saturn there. Not necessarily the best examples, but they should have been and could have been. I think if you know anything of Saturn's career and Canyon's career, obviously Canyon tragically passed and Saturn's still around, but an incredible wrestler. So if handled right, they're not necessarily the worst comparison. Lumis, if handled right, could be amazing. Gacy, if handled right, could go to the moon, in the same way. People didn't know CM Punk at this time. He still had a good following, but people didn't know as much about CM Punk until Raven was done with him. So could Bo do the same for Gacy? Could Bo do the same for Lumis? Absolutely. Is Bo giving a platform to Eric Rowan after time away? Yes. Is he doing the same for Nikki Cross? Absolutely. So is this going to be awesome? Absolutely, yes. But I think, just taper. But again, it's not even tapering your expectations. If we're making comparisons to Uncle Howdy and Bo Dallas to Jake the Snake Roberts, that's awesome, because Jake the Snake Roberts is a bona fide Hall of Famer. If you're doing the same thing to Raven, he's a TNA Impact Hall of Famer. I'm not sure he'll get in the WWE Hall of Fame because he pissed a lot of people off. But he was a legend, no doubt about it. Can Bo Dallas become a legend because of this gimmick and beyond it? Yes. Will this help him do that? Absolutely, because there's never been more eyes on him. There's never been more eyes, and that's where we're at. There's never been more eyes on Dexter Lumis. There's never been more eyes on Joe Gacy, Nikki Cross, arguably, Eric Rowan, absolutely. So this is their platform, and I absolutely believe they'll make the most of it. But is it the worst thing in the world if they become, synonymous with the Brood and it's a gimmick, but then they all splinter off and do great things? No, we just gotta stop them from being social outcasts, and they're already above that. They're already above that because people have invested in them. You know, excuse not that name. Triple H has invested in them. You know, to already be bigger than this, and potentially already be bigger than the flock. You know, the stuff Raven was doing. So they're already being pedestaled. They're already being championed, and we've not even seen them on TV yet. So get excited. It will be very exciting. I absolutely say taper your expectations, you know, except for, like I say, I think Nikki Cross could be a main eventer. Joe Gacy could be a main eventer. I'd love to see Bo in that position as well. But I, you know, I'm not putting them there if I don't really think they're going to be there, but they can absolutely have long, exciting, interesting careers and become legends. All of these people have the potential to become legends because of this gimmick, because of the Wyatt Six, and use it as a motivator and use it as a springboard to other things. You know, this doesn't need Braun Strowman yet. Maybe it will. Maybe when if it struggles, maybe they bring Braun Strowman in and it'll be great. It'll be awesome. You know, main eventer, fantastic. Same with Alexa Bliss. Maybe it'll be better because of those people, but doesn't need it yet. I'm going to give this a go. I'm going to give this a go because if I'm putting direct comparisons, I'm putting Bo, you know, against Raven. I'm thinking that's cool. That's good. If Bo becomes Raven instead of Bray, I'm fine with that because Raven had a cult career. If Joe Gacy becomes the next Bray Wyatt, fantastic. Good on him, main eventer. Brilliant. Dexter Lumis becomes the next Luke Harper. Awesome. That's way better than he's doing right now. And if Nikki Cross, you know, she's the only person I wouldn't necessarily draw, and Eric Rowan, they'll do their own thing. Eric Rowan's Eric Rowan. He's fine. He's got the history. He'll be okay. You know, even if he gets let go by WB, he'll be okay. He was okay. He was getting signed by AEW. He was doing all right. He was doing matches. Same with Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross will be fine. Yeah, like they're gonna do okay. So just get excited about it. It's a very exciting time. I'm looking forward to the debut. I will be losing my S word when it happens because they will pay tribute to Bray. They will pay tribute to the legacy. And that is what will stop, crucially, that is what will stop this. That is what will stop the social outcast becoming a thing. It will never be that. I can safely say it will never be that. It might be the Brood, might turn into the Brood, but it's not the worst thing in the world if you look at the people involved. Gangrel still has a career. He's still considered a legend by lots of people. You know, again, and if we get the direct comparison, Bo and Raven, nothing wrong with that at all. Cult following, legendary career. And that's my direct comparison between Bo and Raven there, you know? And if Bo can help launch himself to that level, fantastic. If he helps launch Gacy to a Cactus Jack level career, fantastic. You know, CM Punk level career, like Raven helped launch Punk, and I will always absolutely emphasize and stand by that. If Bo can help, you know, somebody, if he can help himself get to a Punk level career, fantastic. If he can help, you know, the other members of the Wyatt Six get to that, fantastic. You know, Mickie James again, you know, that is like all these people were elevated by Raven. And I absolutely think Bo has the potential to do the same for these people. You know, he has taken them. They have been forgotten and they are no longer forgotten. Once again, more eyes are on them that's ever been, you know, long as it doesn't turn into that AEW. Oh, Dark Order. Yeah. I don't think that'll happen. Hey, Todd, nice to see you. Hey, all. Yeah, good to see you, mate. In fairness, all we have seen so far is WWE's marketing team copying what they did with Bray. Got to give them a chance, but I don't believe this is the best way to present the story. Well, what would you have done? I mean, we'll talk about that. What would you have done? You know, we got time. Let's go 10 more minutes. Let's go 10 more minutes on this, right? Because I think I've said what I need to say. Here's my concern: the Wyatt Six will sit under the modern LWO. They even had a legacy act with Ray in it, but whenever people speak of LWO, all you think about is any LWO. I don't, because I think they've done a great job, and I think this, you know, the LWO has served to elevate Zelina and has served to elevate Santos, and they will be main eventers. This is Rowan's third run. Yeah, absolutely. You know, absolutely. Is it his third run? Oh, did he come back with Bryant? Did he come back with Daniel Bryan? He doesn't just have to carry it, he has to live up to the expectation. The build has been exactly the same as last time Bray came back. People expect that. And it can't be that. No, it can't. And that's what I'm saying to you. I'm not saying anything different to that. It can't be. And it won't be, and that's okay. If he doesn't end up being Bray, that's fine. If he doesn't end up being Bray Mark II, that's fine. He can be Goldust Mark II, and that's cool because he's a legend. He can be Raven Mark II, and that's fine because he's a legend. How long do you think this faction will last? Will Bo go for singles possession? I hope a year. I hope a year. Well, yesterday was a good day for me, Hassan. Hopefully it was a good day for you. I wonder how WWE will book the Wyatt Six and Uncle Howdy. Hopefully, he will book them good. I hope so too. That's what we're here to discuss. But like I say, if they're not all main eventers, that's okay. That's all right. But I absolutely think everybody has the potential to do well out of this. You know, to have a cult career and to succeed because of this, because of the platform they've been given. This is a hell of a platform. The Wyatt Six is a hell of a platform. In the same way, like I said, I draw that comparison again. In the same way the flock was, Raven's flock. It was the same there. It was a platform, and every faction that Raven led, people were elevated. Mickie James was elevated. Tommy Dreamer was elevated. You know, Kidman was elevated. You know, Kidman's doing just fine now, backstage producer WWE, you know. And all these people would say that was at least in part due to Raven. Okay. So, like, wouldn't it be cool if years from now we were talking about the Wyatt Six that not only paid tribute to Bray, but also helped launch careers, helped, you know, give Bo Dallas's career a second wind, helped give Eric Rowan's career a second wind, helped give Joe Gacy a push to the main event. You know, hell, I fully expect, and I want to go on record with this, right? I fully expect it not to be the same as the Wyatt family. It will never be as good. And I fully expect them to say this in a documentary years from now, that it could never have been as good. But it can be its own thing. It can be a flock for Bo Dallas, you know? It can be something else, right? But it will never get, and that's the key. I keep coming back to it. We've already exceeded this. We've already exceeded the social outcasts. We've already exceeded that. You can argue we've already exceeded a Brood because of the vibe, you know? So, you know, we've certainly already exceeded the Deadpool, although I love that, the Insane Clown Posse and Vampiro with Raven in WCW, you know? But yeah, wouldn't it be cool, man? With Bo Dallas elevating himself to a main event run, you know, in the same way that Raven did in TNA, or that Raven did for CM Punk, you know? Or Alexis Lurie, Mickie James. Wouldn't it be cool if he could also help do the same thing? I mean, you could, you know, The Undertaker did that with a lot of the ministry. This is the ministry of darkness. Yeah, okay, yeah, you had, for every, you know, Midian you had a Viscera, you know. I mean, who was it? Yeah, Edge was in the ministry of darkness, you know. I loved Viscera. A lot of people would say he's not a main eventer, but you know, Mabel was for a time. Who was in the Ministry of Darkness? Let's have a look at this. Yeah, this has Ministry of Darkness vibes, right? So let's have a look at who we had here. Okay. So yeah, the Brood. Okay, so Edge, Bradshaw, yeah, The Undertaker, yeah. So like, I'm not saying that Bo Dallas is an Undertaker. Bray was the closest thing to that. Bo Dallas isn't going to do that, but he could be an Edge. He could be a Christian, you know. So there's potential. There's so much potential here for these people to do well. But I think everyone's like, oh, well, it's not going to be main event if it's Strowman and Bliss. Yeah, no, duh. That's okay, though. That's all right. Let it be an upper mid-card faction. Let's do this. Let's have a great time with it. Let's have fun with it. You know? Like, that's where I'm at with it. You know? So, again, we've already exceeded... I'll come back to it all. We've already exceeded this. We've already exceeded the social outcast. We're never going back there. That's not going to be a thing. So we're already doing better than most people expected anyway, right? So, like I said to you before, wouldn't it be if this becomes a Ravens flock, and Raven, you know, like Bo Dallas elevates himself and others, fantastic. But worst case, like I said to you before, right? This is where I'm at. This is where I'm at with it. Bo Dallas doesn't have to be the next Bray Wyatt. He could be the new Raven, have a career rebirth, and launch new careers. Yeah. Raven helped launch and elevate careers, the careers of Mickie James, CM Punk, Perry Saturn, Dreamer, Stevie Richards, and more, right? Bo could do the same for other people. Yeah. At worst, Bo elevates himself. I'll put Bo back on because that's what we're here to talk about. At worst, Bo elevates himself as a faction leader, and then the members split off into new things and develop. Bo has a cult favorite career that is likened to that of Raven. And at best, Bo becomes a main event star or something akin to Jake the Snake Roberts or Goldust, a future Hall of Famer. You know? So that's where I'm at. Like I said, the social outcasts were a thing, but this is different. This is special and pays tribute to Bo's brother. This is in good hands. They've had a lot of time to prep it. Okay, so have faith. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be cool. They might not be main event players, but we're going to have a lot of fun. Hell, it's already probably exceeded, bless their cotton socks, it's already exceeded the Final Testament in buzz. You know, the Final Testament, you know, like I say, the Final Testament is still on TV. They're doing okay. Karrion Kross is doing okay. You know, it's not the worst comparison. I mean, Cross deserves a main event push, right? But if I believe, and I would argue, they're already situated above the Final Testament on the card, you know, already, and they're not even debuted because there's so much buzz around this. And yes, that comes with its caveat, comes with its pressure. But I think Bo's ready for it. He wouldn't have come back. He didn't have to come back. He wouldn't have come back if he didn't want to do this. And I think he wants to lift people up. And I think that's awesome. In the same way that Raven did, you know. I absolutely think that is cool. It's going to be cool. It is my final moment on that. Let's do some comments. Give me a howdy. Yeah, it's Monday. You know what that means. Shout out to you guys. Thank you, Lucas. Good to see you. John G is in. Good to see you, mate. Let's have a look. All we need to do now is have patience and let this faction play out. Absolutely. I think Dom is right. This is worth the go and has a chance to be a very good new storyline. Thank you, Todd. Thank you. What would I have done? Not appreciate what they did, not repeat what they did with Bray. I would have had Bo come out as himself and pay tribute to Bray, have the spookiness take over him, which is very similar to where Bray left it off. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea, you know, but it's not what they've done. But they could still do that. They could still do that down the line, you know. How, you know, but Howdy could be something that Bo only brings out occasionally, you know. So that's not a terrible idea, dude. But it's not like they can't do something similar, where like Bo, you know, Bo becomes, like I say, like Bray did, like the Firefly Funhouse Bray, man. You know, he wasn't always the Fiend. Bo doesn't have to always be Uncle Howdy. You know, it could be a part-time thing. They could bring back the Funhouse or something similar. Breaking: Drew McIntyre injured and pulled from the King of the Ring tournament. I think that's a storyline to do with Finn Balor was already in it. Oh no, Finn Balor will replace Drew. What you mean, like Finn Balor sort of advances via default because of that? I think that's a storyline to psych out Punk. I think. Maybe, I mean, I'll do some research, but I'm pretty sure that's part of the story. I do think Alexa Bliss should be part of this new faction because of her connection to Bray. I agree, and I know other people, other notable Bray YouTubers, You Wrestling Days, See Wrestling, insiders have all said that, and I agree. I think it will happen at some point, and we will get that main event star in the White Six at some point. But we're not working with that knowledge right now. I'm only working with what we've got. I don't think we have exceeded anything. We haven't seen anything. Well, we've certainly exceeded that. We've exceeded it already in buzz, and I will stand by that. We've exceeded the social outcasts. Absolutely. 100% already. Done. I've heard WWE has other plans for Alexa Bliss. Okay. To me, this new faction is more about the lost and miscast rather than who was associated with Bray Wyatt, and that's a really good point. Okay, injury is legit. Okay, cool. Okay, would this new faction be as good as the Judgment Day? Yeah, I think it could be. It could be. I'm not going to say it is, because that Rhea Ripley has nuclear popularity. Do I think Nikki Cross can match that? No. But I think people will be happy to see her come back. You know, Undertaker will not be involved. I've never said Undertaker. I've never said Undertaker will be involved in it at all. I made a comparison, but I absolutely never said anything of the such. Let it play out and let's have fun with it. Patience is key. Yes, 100%. 100% patience is key. Let's be patient. Let's be excited about it. Hang on. Let's have a look. Put them in so that they could injure him. What's that about? Okay, Finn already in the tournament. He was set to face Drew. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we've done that. I think we've exceeded the social outcasts. 100%. Have I missed anything? Let's finish this up. Hopefully, I mean, does that make sense? That comparison, the Raven Bow comparison. We've done 45 minutes. So let me know what you think. Is there any more comments you want me to do before we finish up this live stream? I'll probably be back tomorrow with some news, with some stuff from Raw. Hopefully, anyway. Dan will be covering Hull. Dan will be covering Monday Night Raw right here in a few hours. Anthony will be here on Wednesday for AEW Dynamite. And Sam will probably be here on Friday. So you know the drill, because you guys are here, because you guys are with us, man. You're the Hulkamaniacs. And it's nice to say that again, man. It's nice to say the Hulkamaniacs. You guys, because I'm back here regularly. It's nice, man. It's nice. Doing it on my own terms, not staying up till ridiculous o'clock in the morning. Yeah, okay. Let's see if we have anything that I missed. That was an interesting point. That was an interesting comment from our moderator extraordinaire. Going to be real for a second. I think this is kind of the last chance for Nikki and Dexter to try and get over. I absolutely agree. And that's why my expectations are where they are. Because it is. And probably the same for Rowan. And that's all right. There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe they have a career resurgence. Maybe they smash out of the park and everybody's expectations are exceeded. And that would be cool with me. Maybe all of these people have Hall of Fame careers. But to have a Hall of Fame career, you do not have to have a title. You do not have to be in the main event. And that is my point. That is my point. But I am absolutely in agreement to that. Says we coming at King of the Ring. Say run. Yeah. Do we get a big QR code tonight? I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Give me something to talk about tomorrow. Yeah. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining Howdy's Hull Yeah Hangout. This has been fun. I have enjoyed ranting at you, making comparisons between some of my favorite wrestlers of all time. And Raven to Uncle Howdy. I love the gimmick. I think it's great. Obviously, Bray was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I often think Raven and Bray would have been a dream feud. And yeah, I hope some of that made sense. I just think we should be excited. I think all of these people have an opportunity to graduate from lower, places on the card to upper mid-level. Do I think they're main eventers? Not right now. Could they be? Could I be proved wrong? Absolutely. But I believe they will elevate. That is the key. They will elevate. They will be elevated. All of these people will be elevated from this, from the social outcasts, to a cult-like, to cult-like status. The flock is remembered. Mickie James is remembered. CM Punk is remembered. Joe Gacy will be remembered for this favorably, I believe. Dexter Lumis, absolutely believe he will be remembered favorably. This has been the most popular he's been, and we haven't even seen him. Nikki Cross, same thing. Nikki Cross and Bo maybe are the exceptions to the rule. Nikki Cross has been popular on her own, but I'd be excited to see what this version of Nikki Cross looks like. It could be a rebirth. Like I say, it's a rebirth for everyone. Let's give them a chance to be reborn. Let's give them a chance. It's exciting. It's really, really exciting. They will be elevated. That is the key. They will be lifted up. They will no longer be forgotten. They will be lifted up by Bo. Hopefully, Bo lifts himself and becomes, more notable because of this. But that is the key. These people will not be forgotten anymore. They will be elevated by this. And that is exciting. Each of these people will be elevated by this, and by these people will be elevated by Bo in the same way that these people, were elevated by Raven. And that is where my comparison comes in. Like I say, We'll never go back to the social outcast because we've already elevated above. And that is a firm belief of mine, a firm point, is that the thing that you can bank on, right, from this, because of the legacy of Bray, is that each of these people, they might never get to the main event, right? But they will be elevated. They will be elevated. They will have more eyes on them. They already do. People are paying more attention to these people. They are no longer forgotten. And that is my point. These people, each of them, will come out better for this. Right? That is my point, and that is my final point. And we will yeah, I think that's good. I think we're good. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's all right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for being here. Much appreciated. Thank you, John. Thank you, Todd. Do you hit? Oh yeah, the Dobbs passion for this always brings us together. Thank you. Oh, thank you, man. Nikki Cross will remember sanity though. Yeah, but I think this will be the next level. Again, this is a level up for all these people. For all of these people, I will go on record and I will guarantee it for me. And I can be wrong. I'm saying I could be wrong, but I will guarantee right now. Actually, does that make sense if I can guarantee it? I don't know. But I believe, maybe I shouldn't guarantee anything. I believe me on the Gimme a Julia podcast on Monday, the 6th of May at 10:50 p.m. I believe that the very least, they will be elevated by this. You know, Nikki Cross will be elevated above what sanity was. Dexter Lumis will be elevated above what the way was. You know, Joe Gacy will be elevated above what was it called, with the grizzled young veterans as Goths. What was Joe Gacy's faction called? I don't know. Joe Gacy's faction in NXT with the grizzled young veterans. The Dyad. There you go. Right. So, or whatever, the learning tree or whatever it is. That's Jericho's thing. But yeah, 4 roots, 1 tree. The Rock's daughter was in it as well. Anyway, yeah, Joe Gacy's going to be elevated above that. Eric Rowan, will he be elevated above the Wyatt family? I don't know whether it's fair to say that, because we're paying tribute to the Wyatt family effectively, and Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. So and Bray Wyatt. So Eric Rowan is the question mark, because I'm not entirely sure you can be elevated above the Wyatt family, a faction with such legacy. But you damn sure better believe that Nikki Cross can be elevated above what sanity was. Dexter Lumis can be elevated above what the way was. And Joe Gacy can be elevated above whatever his faction. It's a northern thing, as a Yorkshire thing. It's gonna blag my head if I don't know. Joe Gacy faction. It's really easy, isn't it? The schism. Joe Gacy is going to be elevated above the schism. That is the theme of this. Is elevation. Bo Dallas will absolutely be elevated above what he has done before. Above the social outcast. Let's flash it on. I think I put the social outcast on the screen more than anything else. So there you go. Have another social outcast. We're above that. We're elevated above that. Yeah. Did I miss anything before we got schism? There we go. Everybody's done it for me. Everybody's done it for me. Good. Thank you. You all did it for me, and I've just looked. Dummy, you sure you're not part of the White Six? Well, what a lovely compliment to end on. Thank you, guys. Thank you all for joining us. And remember, run. I'm not doing I can't do the impression, but thank you. Don't get to be a part of the White Six. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been a pleasure. I really appreciate your time. Whether you are here now live with me right here on the Gimme a Julia podcast, or you come back and watch this, thank you for your time. If you disagree with me, that's okay. Put it in the comments. If you agree with me, that's cool too. Put it in the comments. Let's have a chat. Let's have a discussion. I'll be replying to comments and things. I've loved having everybody engage in these videos. It's a privilege and an honor to have your attention. I do not take it for granted at all. So please drop your comments in the comments. Yeah, it makes sense. And I'll reply and stuff if I'm available, which I hopefully will be. Anyway, yeah, right. See you guys soon. Oh yeah, and all that jazz. Let me get Dan's kick-ass outro. And then we can be out of here, and you guys can go and enjoy Raw, and I will be back with another video soon. Thank you guys all so much. there you go. We'll have a run from Anthony to finish this off. Take care, guys. See you soon.